Honig, the artistic director of the Boca International Jewish Film Festival. We're honored to have with us Eleanor Reissa, the star of Die, if I'm trying not to screw up the name,
Yes, the
Zweiflers.
Yes,
Zweifler.
I'll help you. I'll help.
Okay, you'll help me with this.
Yes,
Die Zweiflers. Okay.
yes, it's
And Avi Hoffman, who will interview Eleanor. Avi Hoffman is a world-renowned actor, awarded congressional recognition, invited to meet Pope Francis, and inducted into Bronx Jewish Hall of Fame for his work in Jewish culture, specializing in Yiddish and Hebrew. And now, Avi will introduce and interview Eleanor Reissa.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Wendy. And truly, this is some of the greatest joy in my life to be able to sit with Eleanor and spend some time talking about, her life and our lives and the amazing work that she's done. Needless to say, I've known Eleanor for a very long time, and I was telling Mike yesterday that because of Eleanor, I ended up getting one of the greatest roles of my career that changed my life. And we did it together. It was called The Rise of David Levinsky. We did The Golden Land. But Eleanor, before we talk about the Zweiflers, which is just, it's such an extraordinary series. And there's lots to talk about. But I really want you to give us a sense of your life and career that in a way really led you to a role like Lil Zweifler. It's almost as if everything you've done has kind of helped to lead you to this. Can you tell us about your childhood and when you started and the amazing people you've worked with and all that?
yeah, thanks, Avi.
Sure.
It's really been an unanticipated journey, an unexpected journey, an unimaginable journey. It was not planned. It was not, it was, it just, it was planned, but not by me. Let's put it that way. My parents were Holocaust fighters. My father was a slave in Auschwitz. My mother, his second wife and her second husband, was in Uzbekistan during the war, and they they got together in Ulm in Germany. Both were Polish, and they came to America. And they married, and I was born in Brooklyn. Yiddish was my first language. I had one set of grandparents, my mother's parents, who I spent a lot of time with, and they were Balabatish, and which means they were righteous people, righteous Jews, but righteous people, I would say. And they were funny, and they appreciated life, and they suffered enormously. All of them, my parents, my grandparents, suffered enormously in Europe during the war. And then here in America, they had a very difficult life too. It's not like they got here and things were great. So I was the daughter of those people who were marginalized, and I frankly thought they were kind of losers, if I thought. Anyway, fast forward, I went to public school. I was an active kid. In later years, during college, it was a political time, and I wanted to tell the story and be involved in like street theater. I didn't know anything about the theater itself. I didn't know people paid you. I didn't know there was something called a career. What's a career? Doctors have careers. I don't know what a career, I didn't know what a career was. And by fluke, I got a job in an acting job for money, for a union job, an acting job for money in English. One flew over the cuckoo's nest. And that was a long time ago. And that's when everything began. But Yiddish was always circling my life because I spoke to my family in that language, but also because I loved that language. Always. Sometimes I was ashamed. Sometimes I didn't want to be Jewish. Sometimes I wanted to be tall and blonde, and I wanted to speak with a British accent, or at least Middle America. That was my dream. That was my dream for myself. Um, and then somehow I started singing. I didn't really think I could sing. And the long and short, I guess, is I always wanted in some way to tell the story of Yidden, of Jews, in particular of my family, because I felt like they were invisible in the world. And they didn't deserve to be invisible. Pink Fakir, exactly the opposite. They deserved to be in the forefront. And consequently, I felt like I was invisible and I wanted to be known. So that's so I worked in English and in Yiddish, and I started writing and I started directing. And I did that not because I thought I was talented, but Pink Fakir, exactly the opposite, because I thought that I was not talented enough and I had better be able to do everything. Because if I can do everything, then I'll have something.
But you were recognized for your work at a very young age. You directed on Broadway and got nominated for a Tony.
I
I mean,
did. I don't know how other people are, Avi, but praise or acknowledgement was very hard for me to see. And it was very hard for me to believe, and it was very hard for me to believe that I'd earned it, that I deserved it, that I was worthy of it. I mean, it's really boring. It's a boring waste. I mean, I'm fairly sorry. If you ask me my regrets after all these years, I would say that I'm so sorry that I didn't know what I was or who I was, and also that I was enough. Um, you
but
know,
it pushed you to do more.
well, it did. It
And
did.
you did,
And I did. And I
which is
did.
amazing because now you can look at a career. You talked about having a career. You can now look back at a long and productive and amazing career of incredible work.
It was unintentional. I just want to say, I mean, it was right foot, right foot, left foot, going from this job to that job. It wasn't wanting to, telling this story. There were some things that I had to do, like stories that I had to tell, pieces that I had to write, songs that I had to sing for my soul,
Right.
for my neshama, that called to me. And it took me a long time to understand that that's what I want to do, that I want to be. I don't just want to act in anything and anybody's thing as anything. No, 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 no. My time is my main asset, especially now. And what do I want to say? So it's been so interesting, Avi, really.
Oh, I can, well, it's a good thing this is being recorded because it's really important to talk about these things and be able to acknowledge it. Before we get to the Zweiflers, which again is just, I was so blown away by what it is, and how good it is and how intricate it is. But before we get there, can you take a few minutes to talk about the passion of the Letters Project and how that journey has taken you to, not only publishing. I mean, I remember sitting in your apartment and you said, "Hey, do you know German? Can you look at something?" And you pulled out a pile of letters and said, "These are from my father." And I didn't read German and I didn't speak German, so there was nothing I could do to help you. And I remember you saying, I'm going to turn this, I need to get that. And, we talked about what can you do and how, and now tell us exactly what happened. You had them translated.
So they were for people who don't know, when my mother died at the age of 64 in 1986, I found 56 letters in her underwear drawer, written, as it turned out, by the guy who was going to be my father, Haskell Schlisselberg, written to her. In 1949, they had met in Ulm in Germany, and she had gotten her visa first. He was still stuck there. And these were 6 months worth of letters. Okay. And so, as you say, yes, and if I had those letters for decades, and it took until 2016 or 17, when I was doing a show called Indecent on Broadway, that I finally decided that I needed to invest money in myself and have these letters translated. And so I did. And the woman who translated, the primary translator, offered me, her brother lived around the corner from the address on the letterhead in Stuttgart. And she said to me, if you want, I'll go with you. And so that began the journey that led to the book, which it called The Letters Project, A Daughter's Journey. And I want to say about that and about everything else, again, unplanned, unresearched, unexpected. I just went like a dope, like a schlemiel, like a weiß nicht was, from here to there. I followed. I went from A to B to M to Z, back to F. But it was like my deciding to take this journey, the world opened up to me. Information poured down on me like manna from heaven, information about my father, what his Holocaust experience had been in his own words, things that I never expected. And I learned who he was, which was a fighter. And I came to certain conclusions that all the people from the Holocaust were fighters. I prefer the term than survivor, because they fought. Whether they were successful or not is not their fault. They fought to live. That's what they did. So that book brought me so many things. And if you like, and ultimately led me to the Zweiflers. It ultimately was it was the key that unlocked the doors, one of whom was, who am I? I learned more about who I am because I learned who they were. And as I say, Pinkt Verkeerd, they were not losers. My father was the only guy on his transport to return from Auschwitz alive. That's my father. Loser? I don't think so. So it gave me also a very different feeling about myself, which I lacked for so many years. And so then I wound up getting a passport, a German passport, because they changed the laws there. And if you had an direct Auschwitz connection, which I had and have, you could get a passport, which I have. And that I posted a picture online of me and my lawyer with the passport, and Mike Burston saw it, and he called and he said, I'm recommending you to this show called The Zweiflers. They're looking for a wife for me. And I had worked with Mike for 30 years as so many things, as his sister, with him directing, as a director of him at Carnegie Hall and in Herschel Ostropolia in America and in Israel. I mean, my relationship with him was deep. And I met this guy, David Hada. First of all, I didn't believe it, Avi. I mean, yeah, Mike says, yeah, this guy's going to call you. Great. Yeah, sure. because this is how I think about everything. Yeah, sure, good. Um, and he calls and he's quite nice and we talk on Zoom and he wants to know about me. He wants to know who I am. And he sends me a script of episode 1 and 2, and it's in English, but my character speaks Yiddish. So would I pick a few scenes and record an audition and translate it myself into Yiddish, and so I did. And then he calls and says, "Well, we want you." And I think, yeah, sure. Everything. I mean, what a ridiculous person I am. Yeah, sure, right? Anyway, and dort liegt the hint begraben. That's where you can find the dog. Indeed, it was all true. Indeed, they offered me this a part of a lifetime. And who Lilke Zweifler is not exactly who I am and not exactly from the people I come from, but close enough. And
I was
she's
going to say, yeah, it shows that your entire life experience fits into this character so beautifully, so sensitively, right? I mean, talk to that, please.
well, I mean, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I loved playing her, and over the episodes, and she got stronger. I learned more about her from episode. For me, it was a journey too. I think for the writers, they were so flexible and open, and they allowed the actors um, to have input and to help steer the car a little bit. And so Lilka gets a bit stronger in herself and in her mission in life as the episodes go on. And you don't know, but she's an Auschwitz Überlebende. She lives through Auschwitz, and so she has a number. And so I use my father's number, and I thought, okie dokie, du bist de Chaskel. Here you are, Dad, mit mir, with me.
I did the same thing in one of the movies I made called Boxed, where I had to have a number. I said, here's my dad's number.
Yeah.
That's it. It was so obvious, you know.
And in the set, the office where my husband and I have our office, on the wall of the office are pictures of my mishpucha. Is my mother, is my father, is my uncle. Everybody in the cast and the family has their family photos on the wall.
And I said to Mike, I even noticed a picture of you and Mike from back
Yes.
in the day. Yeah, which was beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. One of the things that love so much about the series is that it multilingual. Your character speaks Yiddish. Some characters speak German. Some characters speak only English, and some characters are speaking
Ukrainian.
and Ukrainian and Hebrew. And I'm
Correct.
hearing all of this. How do you think that approach contributes to the success? I mean, you guys won the best series at Cannes. Come on, Eleanor.
Yeah, no, listen, Avi, I think, and I wouldn't usually say this about something I'm associated with. I think it's a great series. I think it's so smart and so relevant, and that the way they used language, the way they we go from the woman, Saffron, the girlfriend who's going to have, I don't want to give anything away, I don't know when,
Right, right. I was going to say,
but
let's
but
not.
the girlfriend, let's just say, who's not Jewish, um, is from England, is from the islands, from the Caribbean islands. So she speaks British, but she knows German. My character speaks Yiddish, but she speaks German to the non-Jews. There's and a little bit of cursing in Polish, and the son-in-law is learning Chinese, and it flows. It's like you and I when we speak. Me reden a bissel Yiddish, me reden a bissel English. I say Mira, come here, and
Right.
it
Hebrew,
flows
you say, yeah.
like the wanderers that we are.
But I think, and the reason I'm asking the question is because it seems to me that using that approach has opened up the ability of this series to appeal to such a wide swath. I mean, it's young people in Frankfurt, having a good time. And
Yeah,
then,
no, that's right.
yeah,
No,
it's a,
that's
then it's a
right.
Holocaust, survivor who's speaking in Yiddish and they're talking about business. And, I mean, it's just so well done. And the cinematography and the editing and the music, the soundtrack is just, you won the award for that too.
Soundtrack is magnificent. The director of photography, the cinematographer, oh my goodness, it looks so beautiful. And for the people that will get to see it on a big screen, as opposed to on your TV or on your computer or your phone, it's gorgeous. And the music, the original music suits and is so helpful, and is there's some Yiddish, there's a little klezmer, but then there's sort of hardcore rock,
Yeah.
and it's like here is three generations of a Jewish family. Four generations of a Jewish family. Some people smoke pot, some people drink, some people have affairs, some people have sex, some people go swimming and eat pork and don't eat pork and go to shul. I mean, it wir sind Menschen. We are Jews and we are people. And it's an interesting thing in Germany where it's important that sometimes Jews are not portrayed by Jews, and they're a little bit exoticized or fetishized. The Holocaust is sometimes fetishized, and we were very careful, for example, with the number, with my number, and Mike has a number too, that we don't linger on that.
Right.
We just kind of show it in passing, and
Yeah.
then we get off it. It's um,
I almost didn't notice it the first time. It's
the
like the first time it
integrity,
came on screen, I went, is that a number?
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah,
it was, and then it was gone, and I went, okay. But
yeah.
that actually brings up a very interesting global question. So here we are living in, in a world where, unfortunately, we're seeing a significant rise in anti-Semitism. And here is a German company, a German station, producing a series about this Jewish family. And like you said, some are doing drugs and some are, having a good time and
Just regular
just
people.
regular people. How do you feel? Like, what is the takeaway for the audiences, Jewish and especially non-Jewish, and German and global? What is their takeaway from the Jewish perspective? Like, how is their opinion of Jews potentially going to change for the better or the worse?
I mean, I can't speak to the global population. I can speak to some people that I've spoken to who've seen the program, who say that it's so relevant now, and who say that they've never really seen Jews portrayed this way, as in so complex and so authentic and so human.
Human.
So, I mean, uh, it's, I myself, so I saw the whole, all 6 episodes in Germany a year ago and without the subtitles. And then a couple of weeks ago, it was at the New York Jewish Film Festival, which was sold out. And I saw it then for the first time with super titles. And I thought, oh, that's what they're saying. I mean, I read the script, but I still didn't remember exactly. So it's really well translated. And I looked at it, and it's more relevant than it was when we did it. And there are things that happen in it, but one of the takeaways is the world, if the world is going to see you as a Jew and is going to discriminate against you as a Jew, be a Jew. Be a Jew and know that you're a Jew, because they're going to punish you for being one,
You're a
whether
Jew no matter what, anyways.
whether you know it or not. So be a Jew.
And proud, Jew and
But
proud.
you know what? Yeah. So that's and yet I just also want to say the show is not just about Jews. It's about everybody that these people meet, who are not just Jews, who are not just white, who are not just rich or not just poor. It's the world of the Zweiflers. And for those of you that don't know what Zweifler means, it means a doubter, to doubt. It's a real word. It's a Yiddish word, I think, as well. It's the family name, but they're the doubters.
And every family, and that's why it's so universal. You're right. This is not a Jewish story. There are elements of the story that make it specific to the Jews, but the story is about a family. It's about these, problems that we all have. And that's what makes it so extraordinary. Can you tell us a little bit about, number one, like David Hada, the showrunner? Like, what is how does he connect to this and why?
I mean, he was born in Frankfurt, uh, and his wife also, Sarah Hada, who's one of the writers as well. And they're Sarah's grandparents, and I think David's also, I mean, I forget exactly, but they come from Holocaust people. And they live in Germany, and the issue of Jews living in Germany, there are so many questions that they wanted to explore, like how does a Jew after the Holocaust live in Germany? Why does a Jew after the Holocaust live in Germany? What does it mean to be a Jew living in Germany and living in Israel and living in America? Because all of those places are encircle the family. One of the daughters lives in America, one of the granddaughters lives in Israel, and David and Sarah Hada have, I mean, they have such deep and knowing thoughts about this that they wanted to explore. They've thought about this a lot, and they laid the tracks for us. And I might, and he's such a guy, like a guy to hang out with. They're both guys to hang out with, people to hang out with, and that they could have created this is really extraordinary, with so much. What do they say? The fish stinkt van kop. The fish smells from the head down. Well, the head of this fish smelled really good. And the all of us together were like a family. with pluses and minuses, challenges, and this is annoying, and this is not annoying, and this is lovely, and we have to repair this. And I, I, I learned so much, and I can't wait to do it again because I want to do it better. I understand more about television. It's the biggest role I ever had, really, in front of a camera for the longest period of time.
Now there's going to be a second season, probably.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're working, they're writing a second season.
right,
Hurry.
which is how beautifully these things develop, because now that they know you, and you know them, they're writing specifically now for you and your character, and that's a beautiful process that you
Yeah.
don't get in any other medium, really, because television, is very unique in that sense. So working with Mike. So, we've known each other, all of us that are in this particular world, which is going to bring me to a bigger question after. How, I mean, what are what are the positives, but also the pitfalls of working with people that you know for so very long? Because sometimes when you start a new project, it's all new people. You just develop a relationship for the project. But when you have someone that you know and have such a close relationship with for so many years, how did that affect your working relationship?
I mean, it's a kind of shorthand. And uh, it was a bit of comfort, and and that's how it was. It was interesting meeting the new family, working with the new family, developing relationships where there were none, and turning them into as intimate as my knowledge of Mike is for 30 years, to take my grandson, Aaron, and to love him more than life itself. I mean, that to me was the most, Aaron Alteres, that was the most exciting for me, was to develop these relationship with strangers. My relationship with Mike, I know, but my relationship with strangers, and that my character, that Lilka, is so loves, for example, her grandson so much. And he, to work with someone who loves me back so much, who didn't know me yesterday, is a
Oh,
joy.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
it comes across on the screen. Even certainly for me personally, to see your relationship with Mike, I can see in a glance when you look at him a certain way, and I see and feel those 30 years. But then with your grandson, it's a whole new, beautiful, joyous relationship that also is expressed so beautifully with a look and a glance and a touch. Um, I want to talk for just a second, because I know more than most people in the world today, you understand what I'm going to be talking about, which is having been in the world of Yiddish for all of our lives. And to know that when we started out in Yiddish, it was like, ugh, Yiddish, Yiddish theater. People, you'd say, I'm doing a Yiddish theater show. They go, "Eh." And then slowly, the 80s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, all these revolutions that you and I were personally involved in. Here we are in 2024. And in the last few years,
20, Mira, I hate to, I'm sorry to
2025,
interrupt
sorry.
you. Yeah.
2025, I forgot already. I'm trying to forget. In any event, so here we are in 2025, and Yiddish is having this global, I have now taken to calling it a global Yiddish renaissance. Like I've committed to that because I see it. I feel it. I'm involved in it. I see young people in their 20s making Yiddish movies. And I'm thinking, what? That's a renaissance. I see a young German woman who is working with me at the University of Miami, who's not Jewish, and she's at Johns Hopkins University getting her doctorate in Yiddish and Yiddish theater. And I'm just, okay, that to me is so can you talk about your experience with this global change? Yeah, you could don't have to call it a renaissance if you don't want to, but the idea that there's so much happening and that the Zweiflers, just like Stissel and Unorthodox and all the movies I've made and all the projects you've done and the Broadway shows and all the off-Broadway shows and companies in Montreal and Toronto and all over the world. Can you talk about your personal relationship with this growth of Yiddish and how the Zweiflers fits into that?
I mean, look, Yiddish, as you say, was the language that we didn't really talk about. You know, if I did a Yiddish play, it was like I didn't tell anybody. You know, it was like I was a stripper in a club. That was how I treated Yiddish theater in the early days. However, but also in the early days, my early days of the Yiddish theater, like in the late 70s and 1970s and 1980s, I worked with some of the greats. I worked with people who are unknown and forgotten, but I had an experience of one foot or both feet at that time in a real Yiddish world with people who were literate. And so I would say it's been a journey for me, Avi. It's a journey. It's like a love affair that it was too close and I took it for granted. And and I tried to kind of even run away for it. I mean, from it. My name is not Eleanor Reissa. I mean, it's a name I took because I wanted people to think I was Italian. I mean, I'm Eleanor Schlisselberg. And uh, and I used to never, people say, well, what's your real name? And I say, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. I didn't want to say because it's too weird. It's too Jewish. So it's been a journey. So now I'm verliebt. I'm in love with, it's like your best friend who you're with all the time and you take them for granted and you wake up one day and you say, oh my, I mean, it's you. It's you, Yiddish. Das bist die. This is you. Sie von dir, wie ich will haben meine Zukunft. This is where I will have my future. So, I mean, I'm I'm happy as can be, uh, speaking Yiddish whenever I can. I'm sorry that so many Yiddish speakers were killed. Uh, I'm happy so many young people, old people, non-Jewish people, people of all genders and races and sexes, whatever religions, are speaking Yiddish like it's a language, like it's French, like it's Spanish, like it's Yiddish. I
Sweet.
like I like so it's clearly a positive thing, and I'm lucky as all hell to have been and still be in the middle of it.
So what advice would you give to younger performers, actors, writers who are starting to show an interest in this particular cultural world that was, kind of lost and finding itself and then refound itself. What would you advise people who suddenly are discovering Yiddish for the first time and want to be involved more?
You know, the sadness of COVID uh, brought us Zoom. And all of a sudden, if you are in Argentina or Antarctica or Australia or Mumbai, you can go online and find a Yiddish class, and you can be in some. It's not anymore like somebody living in Iowa can say, I really want to learn Yiddish, but there's nowhere in Sioux City for me to learn. No, maybe there's not, but there is on the internet and there is on Zoom and there are places. So the language is now internationally accessible. So this is spectacular. And so that's, I guess, the main thing. If you're interested in Yiddish, learn Yiddish. I myself regret that my reading skills in Yiddish are horrible because I never practiced and I coasted on being an authentic Yiddish speaker without being a literate Yiddish speaker. So I would say if you can learn to read too, so that it doesn't have to be transliterated. And if you're an artist in whatever language. And if you're an artist, go to the museum and go to the concert and leave your city and go to other cities. And there's a boatload of places like the Yiddish Book Center, like YIVO, like where you can go online and there's massive amounts of interviews with extraordinary people and concerts with extraordinary people. It's not like it used, like you and I can't go back and watch Maurice Schwartz, but somebody now can watch. Maybe you can, but
Oh,
it's
there are
it's
films. There are Maurice Schwartz
films.
films.
Yes,
Yeah.
but there are also uh, uh, and there are other things to watch, many, 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 many things. And so I would just say, just get out there and do
Very,
it. Be nice to people.
very few people know that there is actually a very significant museum of Yiddish theater online. Every Yiddish theater play, every Yiddish theater actor, every designer, director, composer, writer, it's all
What's it called? What is
cross-referenced.
it? What is it?
It's called the Museum of Yiddish Theater, but it's
Because I
really,
don't even really, I've never looked at the
right.
website.
Yeah, no, no, no. I happen to know the guy that built it.
Yeah, yeah.
He made it part of something he calls the Museum of Family History. And in the Museum of Family History, he put the Museum of Yiddish Theater.
I'll
But
check it out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an extraordinary. I can send you the link.
I'll find it.
Eleanor, what else do you want to tell, everybody here in the Boca International Jewish Film Festival about, you and your relationship with this amazing series?
Um, I want to say how fortunate I am to be at this moment in my life to have an opportunity like this on a project that is so filled with integrity and quality and alamilis, all good characteristics. Um, and I guess I would just want to say to people, do things that please you. Follow your heart, and you don't know where it will lead. Just do the next thing. Uh, and yeah, like that.
Great. Listen, if they decide that that Littleca needs to have a brother who survived the war, I'm available. Let them know. Great.
Okie doke.
Now, can I ask a few questions? I just want to tell you, one of the things that I loved so much about this series is the casting was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I just can't enough tell you and how fabulous you were in this part. I mean, it's just, I'm a huge fan, but even huger after this. So I wanted to ask you some things about some of the characters.
Sure.
So I'll start with Mimi. I found she was so oddly interesting. Very bizarre, extremely bizarre. Okay. And the funny thing was, I read that she's a princess in real life. So I want you to tell everyone about Mimi and being
Mimi,
a prince,
Mimi, Mimi.
Mimi being a princess.
Well, I mean, Mimi, played by Suni Meles, is my daughter, is one of my two daughters. My other daughter is Uta Lemper. So I'm very honored to be the mother of these two extraordinary redheads. Um, and Suni married a prince. And, Wendy, that's how you do it. Unless you're born into it, you just got to marry smart, and then you a princess.
And since you married, and I know that I'm butchering up the names, Uda Lemper, she is not Jewish, but
I think she's married.
continually
I think
marries Jewish men.
she married a Jewish man, and I don't know if
Yeah,
she's Jewish or not, but in terms of converting or whatever she is. But
but she was fantastic in the
she's a
part.
great girl. She's a great.
Fantastic. So now I want to get to the brothers, Samuel and Leon,
Yeah,
who are
my grandsons.
your grandsons. They're fantastic. They're brothers in real life.
Yes, they're brothers in real life.
Amazing.
Yes, they're amazing. And man, I am a big fan of those two boys, a big fan. I love them, and they're so talented and lovely.
And
And
they
I want to add that Leo Altaris is also in one of our other films. He plays Paul in Glory of Life, which is the last 2 years of Franz Kafka's life.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, and so I am now really going to focus in on that now that I understand this connection. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, oh well, first of all, I have to say that my favorite, and I won't give anything away, I'm just going to say my favorite shot in the film was when the family is in front of Leo's painting. Well, that is just fantastic beyond words. And I won't say what it's all about, but amazing, right?
Yes, amazing. There were so many days like that, so many wonderful moments and days. Um, yes,
And
just
that was one take, Eleanor. That was just one take. All of a sudden you stood there and boom, it
no,
was.
I don't know. No, it wasn't one. Nothing is one take. I
Oh,
mean, nothing is one take. They pick what take they want. They pick what they want.
fabulous.
Yes.
Fabulous.
I
Now,
mean,
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, I mean, you can imagine also the first time we actually really saw those paintings. I mean, when they shot us, we had all, we were just acting. But when we came onto the set and saw those paintings,
Oh
that
my God.
that was a whole other thing.
Fantastic. So now, the series has been compared. I mean, I had heard that David had wanted, was very enamored with The Sopranos, and that was his take, but that the world kind of compares it to Succession. And what are your thoughts on that?
You know, A or B, I'm grateful as all heck to be in either of those two classes. I mean, what are my two favorite series, Succession and The Sopranos? And you want to compare the Zweiflers to either one of those, I'll take it. But indeed, when we were talking about Lilka, you know, he said, look at the mother in The Sopranos. Look at Nancy Marchand. And Lilka, I couldn't turn Lilka into Tony Soprano's wife. I mean, I just I couldn't. And I don't have those chops to do that. But he was always, that's the story, kind of. He held that up. And when I got the job, I wound up watching all 8 or 9 seasons of The Sopranos, and it was just terrific, shockingly magnificent in every single way.
And
So
I cannot wait till the second season.
Mira,
I
wait,
can't
Wendy,
wait.
you can't wait? You can't wait? I'll tell you who can't wait more than you can't wait, and that's me.
Oh, wow.
I
Wow.
mean, I can't wait. I
I
can't.
understand. It's
I
amazing.
want to thank you so much. Eleanor, this was for me the biggest treat to have you on this. I mean, I can't even tell you. And Avi, we love you. So how terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wendy. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but
Oh,
my
Lord.
heart and soul is there. And
Right.
I wish I could have been there for this, but maybe the next time or some other time. Just got-
I know that you will be in so many more wonderful films, and I'm going to hold you to that because
Okay.
I have to tell you this, that I just a little something at about 11:30 at night, I decided, what the hell? I'm going to write you and hope that you can come. And I was hopeful till the last minute, till
Yeah.
February 1st. I was holding my breath. But anyway, we have this wonderful, wonderful Zoom to present to our audience, and I know that it will be a treat. I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Avi.
Sure.
Thank you, Eleanor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Wendy, so much.
Great.